I don't know why you would, to be honest. Hey everyone, my name's Lashan, and in this video I'm going to walk you through how to move to the UK on a working holiday visa, also known officially as a Tier 5 Youth Mobility Scheme visa, which lets you live and work in the UK for up to 2 years without any restrictions or any job lined up beforehand. We're going to go through everything from basic eligibility requirements, documents, fees, all the steps in the application, everything up to the point you touch down in the UK, as well as any things to watch out for based on my own experiences in getting this visa, which I'm currently on here in London. Even if this isn't the exact visa you're applying for, it's likely that you'll have to do all these steps as part of your application, plus whatever's specific for you, as this is like the most general type of visa application you can do. For anyone new here, I'm from Sydney, Australia, and on this channel I share my life and experiences as an expat trying to make a life abroad. First Montreal, Canada. Now London. Next, who knows? I have some guides on how to move to Canada too if you're interested in those, and I'll be doing a follow-up video to this one going through everything you need to do once you touch down in the UK, from initial admin, bank, phone, apartment, and jobs. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it when it comes out. Before I start, I just want to note that everything I say is based on my own personal experience, and I strongly encourage you to check the official information at gov.uk before starting the application yourself, as things may change, and compared to the absolute dog's breakfast that is the Canadian immigration website, the UK one is actually really well thought out. For the most part, all the information is clearly explained and straightforward, and before you ask any questions in the comments, I strongly recommend checking there first. Okay, so with that all out of the way, let's get started. Step 1. Eligibility and basic requirements. You're able to apply for this visa if you're 18 to 30 years old and have nationality from one of these countries, or if you're a British overseas citizen, British overseas territory citizen, or British citizen in brackets overseas. If your nationality is not on this list, I'm sorry, but you're just not eligible for this visa. Please don't message or email me asking about this, like plenty of other people did for my Canada video. I can't help you. I can't help you. What do you want me to do? Call number 10, call Boris Johnson, Priti Patel, get them to change their mind? It's not gonna happen. The list is the list. This list might change in the future though, so always check the official list on the website, link in description below. For EU citizens, I would expect you to get added to this list in the near future, so keep an eye on it. Another question you might be wondering is, do I need to be in my country of citizenship or go back to apply for this visa? Thankfully, no. The only requirement is that you are legally allowed to be where you are. Tourist visas included. I was in Canada on a tourist visa and was able to get my visa for the UK just fine. As long as there's a VFS/TLS visa processing center that you can get to, you can apply. I'll get to more details about this part later on. It's okay to take this visa at 30 years old, as long as you turn 31 after you move to the UK, you'll still get the full 2 years, and you can only use this visa once. It cannot be extended. Though, if you're stuck here during COVID, like I am, and can't even get home even if I wanted to, you can get month-by-month extensions through this thing called Exceptional Assurance. Link in description. It'll save you tens of thousands of dollars trying to get home in the middle of this pandemic, and let you keep full working rights, for the cost of some perpetual existential stress. You also need at least £2,530 in your bank account as savings, £244 for the visa application, around $100 for the biometrics, and then enough funds for this thing called the immigration healthcare surcharge, which is charged upfront for each year of your visa. I paid a total of £600 or £300 per year for my visa. In 2020, they jacked it up to £470 per year or £940 for the Youth Mobility Scheme, and £624 per year for all other visas. Thanks, Priti, you bitch. So if you meet the requirements, have enough savings and money for the surcharge and the application process, we're good to go. Let's get started. Step 2. The online application. This is pretty straightforward and doesn't even require a police certificate like the Canadian working holiday, only a bunch of declarations, which I'll get to in a bit. You just need to follow the instructions and fill out your details, which is all really standard, and then it gets to travel history over the last 10 years, which is broken up into 3 parts. Travel into the UK, travel to any of these places, and then travel to anywhere else. This can seem daunting for some people who've done a lot of travel, but thankfully it's not as much work as you think. Answer all the questions for travel in the UK. For step 2, the European Economic Area is all of these countries, and they ask you how many times you've traveled to them. 0, 2 to 5 times, or 6+. Be honest, because thankfully they only ask for details for the last 2 trips you did. And by 2 trips, they just mean 2 countries. Having been on a 3-month solo Europe trip through 20 countries in 2014 and getting paid to travel through Europe for 50 days in 2015, let's just say this was a huge relief for me. For step 3, however, you have to detail out every single trip. RIP anyone who did a trip through Southeast Asia or South America. Once you've finished this, you'll need to state the date you plan to arrive in the UK. Be really careful with how you answer this, as it can affect when your visa actually starts. I was leaving Canada in May 2019 with the plan to stay in Paris for a couple of weeks before arriving into the UK to start my visa. I only told them my departure date from Canada and not when I expected to arrive in the UK. When I got to the UK, I ended up getting a visa that started a month earlier than I arrived. I'm still trying to get that month back. I'll get to how to fix this at the end of the video if you end up having this problem. So why do they do it like this? They're British. If something seems straightforward, you're probably doing it wrong. After that, it's just a bunch of declarations stating that you're of good character and haven't done anything to work against the UK, if you've been convicted of any crimes, if you're a terrorist, if you're an extremist, if you're a war criminal. Yes, they literally ask you this. So if you're into torturing people, targeting of civilians, crimes against humanity, or genocide, you need not apply for this visa if it wasn't obvious enough already. If you have any driving offenses or similar, you'll have to state them, explain them as best you can, and they'll decide whether that's okay. Once you get through the rest of the application, you have to state that you'll provide all the necessary documents as part of your biometrics appointment: passport, bank statement, proof you're allowed to be where you are, I'll get to that in a second, and then pay the immigration healthcare surcharge. I hate this fee and think it should be abolished, because when working on the UK, on top of your income taxes, you'll get charged this thing called national insurance contributions, which isn't counted as a tax, even though that's exactly what it is. So this surcharge to stop foreigners taking advantage of the NHS is really the UK government double dipping on you. Also, this used to be free for Australians and New Zealanders up until 2016, when Theresa May was like, yeah, nah, you have to pay it. And it was £150 per year then, so £300. And then at the end of 2018, 6 months before I moved here, they decided to double the fee to £300 per year for no reason, for no benefit. And now it's even more than that. Why am I telling you this? Does it affect your visa application? No. But it does give you an idea of the environment you're getting into. The government here sucks, and this fee will continue to rise in the future. No question. Step 3. This is the part where all the magic happens, where you properly commit to this whole shebang, and this is definitely happening. This is the part where you willingly hand over your passport. Biometrics. This part, instead of being handled by the UK consulate, has been outsourced to private companies like VFS and TLS. I hate VFS. And once you're done with them, you'll hate them too. This is the most annoying part of the visa application, as VFS is a company that exists for nothing except processing visa applications, and is really anal about everything for no reason, and has archaic, outdated rules to try and siphon as much money out of you as humanly possible. Make sure you follow everything they tell you to a T, and print off absolutely everything required. If you don't, they'll refuse to process you. Like they did with me. I thought I could just show up with my appointment letter as a PDF on my phone, but no, they required it to be printed. It's the same goddamn document. I had an early morning appointment and I had to run to a nearby shopping center in Ottawa to find a printing place. I had to wait for the printing place to open because it was so early, and then run back with all my printed papers and wait for a spot to open up. To avoid getting stuck in this situation, listen to all the steps I'm about to tell you very carefully. Step 1. Book your appointment with VFS. You'll have a link for this already if you go through the application, but the link is in the description. Fill out the question of where you're applying from and book your appointment. This cost me $76 US. It could be different for you, but that's a pretty good ballpark. You can pay higher prices if you want to keep your passport or get your application processed faster, which can get really expensive really quickly. But if you go the cheapest, regular way, it'll get processed in 3 weeks from your appointment date. Step 2. Upload your supporting documents. This includes your passport front page, your bank statement to prove you have the funds, and any additional documents to prove residency or anything else. For your bank statement, please double check that your bank statement has your name on it. Mine didn't for some reason, which caused a little bit of last minute panic when the UK told me about this 3 weeks later and caused a bit of a delay in my application. And if you're applying from a country that you aren't a citizen of, this is the part where you provide your supporting documentation to prove that you're legally allowed to be there. If you have a full-on residency permit / card or a visa, a scan of that is totally fine. If you were on a tourist visa like I was, scan the page of your passport with the stamp that led you into the country and then annotate the scan explaining the length of your tourist visa, like I did here. This is what I sent in and my visa got approved. For any kind of supporting documentation, the general rule of thumb is if you explain things clearly enough that they don't have to come back to you with any extra questions, the process is going to go by a whole lot smoother. Step 3, going to the appointment. You will need your passport, everything I mentioned before, printed, the UK official document checklist, which you will have gotten after paying the UK side application fee, and the appointment letter / receipt you will have gotten via email from VFS. Don't make the same mistake I did. Step 4. Doing the appointment. This is relatively straightforward. You just answer the questions, hand over your passport and any documentation they ask for, get your photo taken and your fingerprints for the biometrics. Once the appointment is done, you'll get a tracking number and be passportless until the visa is processed. If there's any problems with your visa application, the UK government will contact you over email. And when your visa has been approved, you'll get an email from VFS saying your documents, aka your passport, have been dispatched back to you. This part sucks because they use UPS. As if this couldn't get any worse. The UPS ran away with my passport. I was watching the tracking info like a hawk. I was at home waiting for them to arrive, constantly checking out my window, and even saw the UPS van arrive at the end of my street. But when they got to me, the UPS guy didn't even knock. He just stuck a "sorry we missed you" notice on my door and then bolted with my passport. This is when I only had a couple of days before my flight out. I was livid. After complaining on every platform there was, I got a call from UPS saying the delivery driver would deliver it at the end of the day. So I waited for 4 hours to 8 p.m. for this guy to come back with my passport. And what does he do? He doesn't even try to deliver it. He just drops it off at a pickup location 2 kilometers away from me without any notice whatsoever. I hate UPS. Anyway, I got my passport back and inside was, where is it? This magical sticker. This is your entry vignette visa, which gives you a 30-day window to enter the UK and grab your actual visa. You've passed the point of no return. You have to enter the UK within this 30-day time frame. If you don't, you have to go through that horrendous biometrics appointment process all over again and pay for it. And now, the final step. This is what you've been working towards this whole time. All the prep work is done, you've packed your bags, and you're ready to move to the UK. This is happening. Whether you do this by air or land crossing through the EU, you'll need to talk to an immigration officer at the border to make sure you're entering the UK on your entry vignette on your visa and not a tourist visa as you may be defaulted to. This means not following everyone else at the airport through the e-gates and finding one of the few open immigration officer windows. Walk up to them, explain you're activating your Tier 5 Youth Mobility Scheme visa, show them your entry vignette, and they'll process this pretty quickly for you and you're in the country. Now that you're inside, the last and most important thing is to get your BRP, or Biometric Residence Permit. This plastic card is your visa. Yeah, so like never lose this. Ever. Ever. You'll need this all the time when setting up your life in the UK and when traveling. When receiving your passport back from VFS, you should be told the address of the post office that has your BRP, which should be the one closest to your address that you stated that you would be staying at on your application. You just have to go there and ask for it. And you're done. If you have the same problem as me where your visa start date is not the same as your arrival date, on the letter that came with your BRP, there should be some steps for you to correct this. It basically means contacting visa processing / immigration to get this corrected and handing back your BRP after they approve your reasoning. And that's it. You've made it to the UK and you have your visa. Now what? There's a whole lot more to go through from there, which I'll go through in my follow-up video, which will explain everything to do with getting your life started in the UK. Initial admin and first steps, phone, bank, looking for an apartment, finding a job, and general tips and tricks. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it when it comes out. I hope you found this video helpful. Give it a like if you did, and I'd love to know what you thought in the comments, or if you have any questions. And if you have any requests of what you'd like to see from me about life in the UK, being an expat, or anything else, let me know. That's been it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Lashan, out.